And as always, from the man cave, it is Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, it is season 3 of DDS. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I couldn't be better, baby. Let's get this season started off right.
Ooh, absolutely. Guys, appreciate you joining us today for a special edition of DDS Sports Talk. We're going to be doing our 2023 NFL mock draft. Newberry, I know you're excited about this.
I'm definitely excited. I mean, we didn't go chalk here. We were looking high and low. We were trying to, piggyback off of some trends from teams like the Patriots,
right?
The Raiders. We'll have some surprises along the way. We're doing a mock draft with trades. This should be fun.
Lord help us. Let's jump right into this with the number 1 pick. We have Alabama quarterback Bryce Young going to the Carolina Panthers.
This is what it always was going to be, fellas. A year ago, we all knew Bryce Young was going to be the number 1 pick. And then, maybe it's CJ Stroud. Maybe it's this. No, we're right back to where we thought it was going to be, and it's the right pick. This guy is elite. Go watch our short on this guy for even more information. But he can put the ball anywhere he wants. He is a point guard on the field. He knows where everybody is at all time. The knock on him is size. 5'10". He weighed in at 204. It's more like 188 pounds. But this guy, man, if he's 6'2", 220, we're talking like the best draft prospect in 20 years. But that size, how many players have played in the NFL with his height and weight? Answer is 0. 0 have done it effectively. But hey, his skill set, he might be the one to actually do it right.
I mean, yeah, he's got that really interesting skill set that he's just really good. But he had to have 10-pound tennis shoes wearing that day.
The lack of size is true, but I wrote down he has the ultimate it factor. We'll see if it translates over to the NFL and the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely. Moving on to the second pick of the NFL draft, Newberry, we have edge rusher Tyree Wilson going to the Houston Texans. Tell me a little bit about this guy.
It's interesting. We debated, would the Houston Texans stay? Would they draft? We have them staying here, taking this year's traits guy, like last year's Trayvon Walker. Supposed to be coming off the edge to disrupt. Parker, will he get it done in the NFL?
I would take this guy as like my 7th edge guy off the board. But D'Anico Ryans is going to absolutely just see Nick Bosa in this guy. And if D'Anico has the ability to make this pick, this is who it's going to be. There's rumors that
I really hate to interrupt, but we have a trade alert.
Oh, no. The first trade is coming up to number 3.
Totally cut Parker off and everything. Trades are not fair, folks. Trades are not fair.
What did you have coming up to number 3?
Believe it or not, at the number 3 spot, we have the Indianapolis Colts.
No.
Trading up for Mayo boy himself, the quarterback Will Levis.
They get their guy right here, Parker.
Tell me, Parker.
Oh, I hope to God we're right, fellas, because if we somehow come out of this draft and the Texans don't take a quarterback and Indy takes Will Levis in these top 3 picks, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Tennessee Titans fans should be jumping around singing, because to avoid Bryce, to avoid all this, I cannot get over this. I will hammer it one more time. Will Levis, last year, 42 more quarterbacks were more accurate than Will Levis throwing it deep. He's just not good, but hey, this is Jim Irsay all the way. We've been saying it for months. He sees Will Levis. He sees Andrew Luck. He sees Peyton Manning.
I think what he sees, he sees a big guy that looks good in swim trunks, the physical tools. But what else does he bring to the table?
I mean, he watched that pro day where he was all lubed up with Mayo.
Oh, geez.
I mean, hey, he sees a big, tall, strong, white quarterback. Let's just be honest. That's what he sees.
I think it's as simple as that.
Yep. All right, moving right along to the number 4 pick, the Arizona Cardinals. We have them taking Will Anderson Jr., the linebacker out of Alabama. Newberry, give me some insight here.
So I argue that this was probably the safest defensive pick of this year's draft. Remember, this guy had 17 and a half sacks and 31 tackles for loss as a true sophomore playing in the SEC. I think Arizona strikes it here. They got to trade down and pick up a premium player.
Yeah, you said it's perfect. He's the best defender in the draft. He should have go number 2. There's not much to say. It's perfect for them. J.J. Watt retiring, get a gut replacement.
Absolutely. Moving along again, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking defensive lineman Jalen Carter from Georgia. Parker, tell me, is this the real deal?
If Will Anderson's not the best player in the draft, Jalen Carter is, and this guy is the real deal. The only question about him is his maturity, but Seattle has had a history of taking potential problems and been just fine with them. Carter is a man amongst boys. Go Google him, and he will take a 300-pound offensive lineman and just throw him. I mean, it's just he is elite. He could go 2, but if it wasn't for his maturity issues, he could go higher. But he could also. Teams could get scared off, but I think Seattle's where I think the floor on him.
Yep. I wrote down he could be the most talented player in this year's draft. Will he care? Will he try? We've seen some people from Georgia that said, you know what, I just don't like football anymore.
Well, I mean, after watching his drills that he ran, I mean, that's the effort we're talking about. He has to have his interest level up there at all times.
And Brad just said something that kind of struck me because he's right. If you go back and look at that elite defense from a couple of years ago, of everybody has been drafted out of it, there's a knock on it. A lot of people are saying, hey, maybe it was the scheme and not the players, because all those players that have been drafted out of it haven't really lived up to expectations.
Oof. Man, we'll come back to on a later episode and talk about that maybe one day. But we're going to keep it moving here. With the number 6 pick, the Detroit Lions are stepping up, and they're going to take Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon.
Ideal size, length, athleticism, making him the number 1 cornerback on most mock drafts. We couldn't resist giving Detroit right here a cornerback, even though they've been in the news lately. Parker.
I think it's a great landing spot for him. The only downside, or maybe this is an upside, his player comp for a lot of people is Jeff Okudah, who they just traded away. So hopefully they think this guy is better than that, but they've got to take a corner. That defense is just garbage.
Yep, and moving right along, continuing with the theme of cornerbacks, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Devin, don't call me Devon Witherspoon at the number 7 spot.
Illinois really making some noise in the draft this year. They're having some people up there after not having anybody forever. And God, this is one of my. I go back and forth with him and Gonzalez. Gonzalez is that tradey kind of guy, and Witherspoon, this is the guy I think you can leave on the corner. You can leave him out on the island, the number 1 guy, and he's just going to lock somebody down. So I think that the Raiders and the Lions both take corner here, and I think these are both great players. So Raiders really need.
Yeah, for newbie, the Raiders fans, I wrote down that he has the ability to take away half of the field. I can't give him much more of a compliment than that, but he has the ability to do it. Shut down, you're playing over the middle and to the other side. You're able to scheme up some things on defense if you have a corner that can do that.
Could be a huge asset for him for sure. Moving along to the number 8 pick, the Atlanta Falcons taking the defensive lineman out of Iowa, Lucas Van Ness.
Boy, nickname Hercules for a big reason. He has quick first moves. What I read about him was he needs to work on his hands, his hand fighting, but a big get for the Atlanta Falcons right here.
He also plays for the world's greatest team in college. So obviously he's going to be a great player in the league. That's right, baby. So, I mean,
that give up 2.5 points a game.
My.
What?
He said, you're not talking about
gosh,
Iowa right
we
here.
got another trade alert. Another one.
What happened? Who's trading this
Oh
time?
my goodness.
Wait, Chicago's already traded once. They're trading again.
We have the Houston Texans taking quarterback CJ Stroud from the Ohio State University. My goodness. Tell me more.
I mean, they have to. They have to make this move. They're taking Tyree too. They have got to get a quarterback. There is no way on God's green earth that they roll into next year with freaking Case Keenum as their starter, Davis Mills, and Perry, I think their third quarterback. They just absolutely have to. The insanity stops here. Houston gets their quarterback. Hey, you know what? I can live with CJ in the division. I'm just happy it's not Bryce.
I like this, man. We debated do they just go ahead and take CJ Stroud at 2, but I like how it's more unique where we gave them a defender and then we still found a way that they traded up to get the same guy that we were tossing around at number 2. But I wrote down he could be the most pro ready year 1.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits the whole narrative that we've been saying the whole time that he's one of the quarterbacks that's probably getting overlooked the most, but he's probably one that could be the most pro ready, like Brad said.
Yeah. I mean, according to PFF, over the last 2 years, 26.7% of his passes were perfect. So that's a quarter of your passes are perfect, and they measure them and all that. So, yeah, pro ready. My thing about this guy is when like Anthony Richardson could be on a 1 to 10 scale, anywhere in that, I think he's like a 4 to 7, if that made a car.
Sure. All right. And at the number 10 spot, the Philadelphia Eagles are looking to restock their shelves with offensive lineman Peter Skoronski from Northwestern.
Yeah, he played tackle at Northwestern, but man, he's got the size, the ability to play road grading guard. He may be blocking for a lucky running back in Philly.
Oh.
You just made our stomachs turn.
I didn't say who. Someone's going to be lucky enough to run behind him.
You're right. This is Quentin Nelson, though, right? So he could be a tackle, or he might just come in and be the best guard in the entire NFL. He has short arms, or 32 inches and a quarter. His arms are as short as Kenny Pickett's hands are small. Let's just put it like that. But he's going to be elite, and I wish he would have fallen to 11.
All right, and speaking of the 11 spot, very controversial pick. There's a lot of people saying a lot of different things about the Tennessee Titans pick here, but we have wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba going in the number 11 spot to the Tennessee Titans from Ohio State. Parker, tell me what you think.
Hey, I fought for this one, fellas. JSN is my dream scenario pick, if not Skoronski. Those two guys. This guy's elite. I don't think people understand how good Jackson Smith-Njigba is. He was a 5-star high school recruit coming into college, and nothing has changed. He's an elite route runner, like top 8 in the NFL at this. And the number one thing that translates to the NFL, if you've ever listened to us talk about it, it's production. And guess what? He has production. In 2022, he was hurt. But in 2021, JSN played with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., and he led the team in receiving. This guy is excellent. He played in the slot. Oh, but he played in the slot. Ohio State puts their best receivers in the slot. It's what they do. What they do every single year. I just am. The Titans have to get more talent at wide receiver. This makes way too much sense.
I wrote that he is the ultimate slot machine, and the cons were injuries in 2022 and speed concerns. We'll see. Possession receiver, production is there, playmaking ability, unquestioned. The Titans definitely needed a playmaker here. We kept going back and forth between wide receiver and the offensive line. Blake, you kind of lost out. You were pitching offensive line pretty heavy. I was in the middle.
Right.
Parker, wide receiver, pretty heavy. We landed with a wide receiver.
Absolutely. All right. And moving along and sticking with Ohio State here, we're going with Paris Johnson from Ohio State going to the Chicago Bears. Newberry,
I wrote down that he played all over the offensive line. He's got that prototypical tackle size at 6'7". Comes from a winning university from the Ohio State. And honestly, man, Chicago needed this.
Yeah.
They really did.
They need a lot of things. That's for sure.
Yeah. Chicago is one of those teams you could just pull a name out of a hat and they need it.
Yeah. Well, you're probably right.
But
all right. But do you have something else?
No. I was going to say, I wasn't sure if I was frozen, if you were frozen. I was just going to.
It's me. It's frozen. Anyways, we'll clear that out. But anyways, moving on here to the number 13 spot, we have offensive tackle from Georgia going to the New York Jets, Broderick Jones.
Yeah, this guy's a solid type of guy. This Georgia Bulldog literally, I think, wants to hurt people. I mean, if you just sit there and watch him, I think he physically tries to hurt the man on the other side of the ball, and that's what Saleh wants. And guess what, guys? They're going to need this to protect their new quarterback. To who that might be, we can discuss at another time and date. But this is a weakness on this team that is actually fairly strong all over the place. So Broderick Jones fall into a really good spot for him.
Yep. I wrote down he's super athletic, quick feet. The one con that I wrote down is experience. He needs more time, but he'll get that. He'll get plenty of opportunity in New York.
Absolutely. All right, moving on here, we have Keon White going to the New England Patriots, the edge rusher from Georgia Tech.
I mean, last year they drafted Cole Strange, so we're trying to think of something kind of strange to come up here at number 14. Most mocks have this guy either second round or even later, it seems like. So we wanted to just pull him up right here for the New England Patriots. I put down some of the pros. Seems like he can play any scheme. His speed, his suddenness. The cons would be, what about strength? Can he shed the blocks? Can he get off of them? Bring people to the ground in the NFL. We'll see.
I mean, he was a one-year starter, and you kind of mentioned it. He's an animal on the field, man. If you want somebody to say, see ball, go ball, get ball, this is him. He will go after the quarterback, and it's not just Cole Strange. The Patriots have a history of doing this. N'Keal Harry, Isaiah Wynn, Sony Michel. He's a reach, but the NFL has invited Keon White to the NFL draft for the first round for a reason.
Yep, totally agree. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers at pick number 15, we have Dalton Kincaid, tight end from Utah. Newberry, I don't know. Or actually, that's Parker's. That's Parker's. Parker, tell me more.
Oh, it doesn't matter. But this is my favorite tight end in the draft if you need a pass catcher. And guess what? If Aaron's out of there, they need to support this young guy with as many weapons as they possibly can. I do think it's hilarious that as soon as Aaron Rodgers is gone, they finally draft an offensive weapon in the first round. But this guy's perfect. I mean, what he is not, though, he's not a pass blocker. He's a decent enough run blocker. But while he's not great at pass blocking, the effort is there. So it seems like something that you might be able to teach. But this is the new route, man. 6'3", 246 pounds. Yeah, I just think he's going to be the new big-time weapon there.
Yep. I wrote down speed and route running from that position. Linebackers, safeties, beware. The one con I wrote was blocking, but man, you got the 22-year veteran Mercedes Lewis lurking around in Green Bay.
There you go. All right, moving on to our nation's capital, the Washington Commanders are going to be taking Deonte Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. Newberry, tell me more about this guy.
He's staying right there in the area, man. He's got the size speed combo that you want. He was a plus highlight at the combine this year. The one thing that I read about him that is a potential con, is playing with his back to the ball. So if he's in chase mode, wide receivers can win.
Yeah, you said it. The size, my God, the dude's a 6'2" corner. Like, you don't see that anymore in the NFL because they can't move, and this guy can. He's actually one that can move. And you also kind of mentioned it, knowing route concepts. He gets a little lost out there, but I'm sure the stability of this Washington football team or Commanders will, help him out.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
The culture of what?
Yeah, culture's great there.
All right.
The first of the pod.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go to a familiar name here, maybe a little blast from the past. Joey Porter Jr. We have him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, cornerback out of Penn State. Another one staying close to where he is now.
Oh, he's just like Daddy, baby. He's got in Pittsburgh. This is it. The NFL is about narratives where we always talk about Brady doing the passing record in Foxborough. This is just going to happen to hit here. He's a press corner. He's very physical at the line of scrimmage, like knock you down. He sounds just like a Steelers guy. Last year on 106 press coverage snaps, he gave up 68 yards. His wingspan is insane, like pterodactyl. I mean, like 34 inches, like 2 inches longer than Peter Skoronski. He's Pittsburgh all day long.
Jesus. I wrote down big, physical. He is able to reroute most shifts. He's going to reroute them, knock them down, even what Parker said. The one con that I have is if he gets matched up in the slot, little questionable with the quickness, the twitch. But, man, you want him on the outside beating up people.
That's for sure. All right, here we go. Number 18 pick. The Detroit Lions continue to load up here with edge rusher Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Newberry.
Wow.
Another good edge rusher heading up to Detroit.
Pair him with Aiden Hutchinson from last year. I mean, this guy shined at the combine. One thing that we have to remember, he's coming off a torn pec. What do you see from this prospect, Parker?
You know, if the news about the gambling stuff didn't break on us yesterday, I'd quietly say the Lions are becoming one of the best run organizations. I mean, they're drafting well. They're signing people well. Nolan Smith is one of the hardest guys to project where he lands. He's obviously very small for his position, and that's the knock. But if you're that small, you better be fast. And guess what? He's fast. And the Georgia scheme, kind of like they were using with Trayvon last year or this year, the Georgia scheme didn't really let him go after the quarterback. He was more of a run defender. But it looks like he's going to be able to do that. Again, his big knock, he'll be the lightest edge defender in the NFL.
Wow. Dropping facts. It's what we do around here.
Especially Parker.
Moving on to number 19. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers giving Bijan Robinson a Jolly Roger flag at the number 19 spot, the running back out of Texas.
This is a real possibility, but I would hate this for Bijan Robinson because they can absolutely do this. But Bijan is the best prospect out there since Saquon. And some people are saying since Adrian Peterson. I mean, this guy is basically a ghost in the backfield. When someone goes to tackle him, he has eluded that tackle 39% of the time. He's just elite. It's hard to figure out where running backs go in the NFL nowadays because it's such an undervalued position. But this is one of those guys that is worth the first round pick.
Yeah, man. DDS Nation's been chatting with us this week with our short saying this is Barry Sanders 2.0. I mean, but I agree with Parker here. As a crew, when we're making up this mock draft list, we're almost at 20 and we don't have Robinson yet. We've got to fit him in somewhere. Does it make the most sense for Tampa? Questionable. I mean, theory might be they're going to have to run the ball a little more because you're not going to have Tom Brady slinging it 70.
I mean, they haven't had a running back the caliber of Bijan Robinson in a while. So,
well, they had a hyped guy in playoff Lenny.
That's all it was.
Come on,
whoever thought he was going to work out there was.
I wrote down 3 down back. He's very sudden. The one con that I wrote was decisiveness. Sometimes he gets dancing in the backfield and could be tackle for lost time. But clearly, our RB number 1.
Absolutely. Brad, it's funny. I'm nitpicking with his negatives, but much like Saquon, he can sometimes dance a little too much looking for that homer hit.
Yep. Absolutely. Heading up to the Pacific Northwest, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking quarterback Anthony Richardson from the University of Florida.
All right.
Newberry, I mean, is this a good fit here?
So here's another one where, just like CJ Stroud, where we debated, could Anthony Richardson go to number 5 at Seattle? And we still found a way in our mock draft to get them to the right team that we believe it is. I wrote down, man, honestly, it'd be better if he just didn't even see the field this year.
Oh,
I
100%.
believe Seattle. I can't believe I'm saying that with Geno Smith, but they're going to roll with him. But then, like with this Anthony Richardson player and his body and the way he plays football, it's a bigger version of Geno Smith, right, Parker?
This might be the steal of the draft right now for me. I agree. Like he'll go to a situation where they just signed a guy that's basically a 1-year contract. And let's just say he's better than Geno. Geno's not so paid so much that you can't bench him. Like there is that possibility. But yeah, he's a bigger version of Geno. If y'all watch our shorts, this guy is 6'4", 246 pounds at quarterback. In the short, I hold a 40-pound bag of ice up and say, or of salt up. You would have to strap that 40-pound bag to Bryce Young and another half of that bag to Bryce Young to be able to equal Anthony Richardson's weight. Like he's almost got 60 pounds on him, which is insane. I love this pick for him. You're right. He's just a younger, bigger, stronger, more physical version of Geno Smith.
Fantastic. Heading down south from Seattle, we're going to head down to Los Angeles here to the LA Chargers. We're going to be mocking Zay Flowers, the cornerback from Boston College, to go in the 21 spot, Parker.
Yeah, this is a little earlier than some people have him going, but he's rising up draft boards, and go watch him. He's really good. And guess what? The Chargers are the slowest team in the NFL. And with this guy, they add elite speed and elusiveness. This is one of those you can't tackle in a phone booth type of guys. It's a little unique of a landing spot, but they desperately need speed. And I would be shocked if they don't draft a speedy wide receiver here. I just think Zay's the guy.
Speed. He is so fast, a slot machine here. I wrote down the one con was his drops, man, and may have a lack of route running skills, but he tries to make up for that with speed.
There you go. All right, here we go. We're moving down to the Baltimore Ravens. I guess we're going back to the East Coast. Baltimore Ravens are going to be taking Quentin Johnson, wide receiver out of TCU.
Big. I wrote down size, 6'3", all-around receiver. His one con that I wrote down was fighting back to the ball, finishing the catch. You're going to have to be physical in the NFL.
100%, man. And there's not many big guys out there. I wrote down, it's weird watching him play while he's got the tools to be the go up and get it guy. Much like you said, he just doesn't do it. It reminds me of the early days when Derrick Henry was like pussyfooting around and not just trucking people. Like, just go get it, dude. You're bigger.
Yeah.
Totally agree. All right, let's keep on moving here. Let's see here. We have the Minnesota Vikings taking wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC.
This is so perfect because Justin Jefferson needs somebody opposite of him. Jordan Addison is a smooth route runner. He's on the field. Speed is quicker than his combine workout scores. His main strength is his elite acceleration in short area quickness. His size is concerning at the next level, but other than like two receivers, I can say that about every single one of them. He's had some drop issues in the past. The knock on him is a lot like the knock on Treylon Burks last year, that he was schemed up open, but I don't really consider that a knock. That just you're getting your best player of the ball. Also, Addison also he can play anywhere, man. He's a down the field stretch and he's a slot guy. I mean, he can kind of do it all.
Yep. I wrote down athletics, speed. He's multi. The con that I wrote down was deep ball tracking and lack of proven production. But man, this has got to be a plus move for the Vikings, where essentially you're rid of Adam Thielen and you bring in this guy with Jordan Addison. You get younger, more athletic, faster immediately for Kirk Cousins.
Well, there you go. Well said. All right, I know that Bradley's been waiting to talk about this one here. We're going down to Jacksonville. They're going to be taking offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
6'5", 345-pound road grader. They just lost Jawan Taylor to the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency. They upgrade the O-line here. He doesn't necessarily have to play in season one, but I think he will. I wrote as a con. Needs to work on pass pro just a little bit, but a fantastic get. Most mocks have him going in the top 15.
Yeah, you're right though. He's big, he's powerful, and I can't state how strong he is. He's the Jalen Carter, but on the offensive line. His knock is that he does get exposed and loses balance from time to time, which is obviously doesn't fare well in NFL. But he has tons of experience. 4-year starter, right tackle, left tackle. This is an excellent value with this pick for the reasons you just said.
All right, moving up to the Big Apple, the New York Giants are going to be taking Kalijah Kancey, the defensive lineman out of Pitt.
Yeah, so the easy comparison here, everybody said it's that guy out there in for the Rams, but we're not going to do that, even though he went to the same school and everything. Kalijah Kancey at his 40 is little, but he went and ran at the 40, and he set records out there. This guy is undersized frame, and his strength will be more pronounced versus NFL blockers, especially in the run game, but he gets off the line quick. He gets around the blockers really well. He can leverage the gaps. He can disrupt the backfield. This guy is quickly rising up draft boards. I wouldn't be surprised if he even goes earlier than what we have him, but the Giants desperately need somebody on that defensive line.
Yep. Change of direction, quickness. He'll be able to do some schemes on the defensive line. I wrote down the cons being his size, and I read that he ducks his head a lot when he's going in for trying to do run tackles. He needs to keep his head up so he can see where the play's going and developing, but he'll learn that over time as well.
All right, heading to the Big D, we have Michael Myers, tight end out of Notre Dame, heading to Dallas.
Yeah, man. So unlike Dalton Kincaid, this is more of your big possession type receiver, better blocker. He's definitely going to be slower off the blocks and release, but if you're wanting to look at an all-round tight end in this class, Dallas gets him right here.
Seems like Dallas always has some good tight ends.
Yeah, this is basically their new Jason Witten. That's who this guy is, right? He can catch the ball. He's not some long vertical threat. He's thick. He's 265 pounds, and he is a animal. A ferocious blocker that wants to punish you into the ground. And he might be the best tight end of this. It depends on what you need. Like if you're the Green Bay Packers, you need a receiver, it's Kincaid. If you need a blocker / receiver, it's this guy.
All right. Heading up to Parker's favorite trash city in America, the Buffalo Bills are going to be taking Miles Murphy, edge rusher out of Clemson.
You know, I hate Buffalo so much because some of their players are so lovable, but my God, it is a hellscape trash land of a city. But Miles Murphy is going to have a new home there and a new stadium in a few years because he's going to be drafted here. He wins with his hands. He's an edge. He wins on the edge, but he can win inside too. The problem with this, and I hate to helmet scout, man, but these Clemson defensive lines, they don't turn out like we think they're going to in the in NFL, but hopefully this one's different. Miles Murphy is absolutely gets after it.
Yeah, I wrote down the pros. Very sudden. He can play any scheme, which leads kind of to my con of I read that he likes to freestyle a lot, man. So he's going to have to learn a specific defensive scheme probably in the NFL. Will he be mature enough to learn? I think he can. It'll take a minute.
Yeah, and heading out to the state of Ohio again here to the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the guy with the greatest name in the draft, Osiris Torrance out of Florida. He's heading to Cincy.
How do I keep landing on these Florida guys? I mean, golly, the big man, absolutely impressive in SEC play. Parker, he had a total of 0 penalties in the 2022 season. Man, the con that I wrote is sometimes he gets caught leaning and he overextends, which makes it easier for the defensive lineman to slap that down and get around.
Yeah, he held up in the SEC, transferred out of Louisiana, came there, 6'5", 347 pounds. Like, this is a big boy to try and overpower. So, I mean, Blake's right. The best name of the draft and the big.
Saying, how do these keep dropping right whenever Parker's trying to make a point?
Interrupted him again.
My gosh, we have another trade alert, Parker. That's all right.
So wait, we're so late in this draft. Someone's trading up from 2.
I know. Hey, look here. You're going to love this, Parker. You can take it away here. The New York Jets are trading to get Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, quarterback out of Tennessee.
Wow.
I am taking your Seattle still the draft of Anthony Richardson and flushing it down the toilet because this is it. Hooker is my 4th quarterback in this draft. Go back and listen to my Kenny Pickett tapes. Usually hate these older breakout guys, but Hooker is different. He didn't break out late because he never really played. 1 year at Voltech, then hurt, then behind Milton. Then they realized he was a good player, and he played there. The big knock on Hendon Hooker is coming out of the gimmicky offense that is Tennessee. Tennessee offense, fantastic for college, but projecting it for the NFL is difficult. My biggest knock on Hooker, not knock, but just question mark, is his reads. In Tennessee's offense last year, he had to go to his 2nd read all year 14 times.
Dude, I wrote, so everybody knows the ACL injury. I also wrote he could be the steal of this year's round 1. But I warned the Jets fans. Is this going to be UT Vols Hendon Hooker, or will this be the New York Jets Geno Smith?
Ooh, man, that deserves one of those.
This move makes so much sense for the Jets. I haven't seen this anywhere, and it makes perfect sense with or without Aaron. And I know what they're saying up there about mom lover. God, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Zach Wilson.
Thank you, Zach Wilson. That they're not over him yet. Man, they're done. They're done with that guy.
Oh yeah, everybody should be done with that guy. But moving on here, we're going to be heading back to Philly again. Brian Brzee, defensive lineman out of Clemson. Here's another one of those defensive linemen out of Clemson, Newberry.
Yeah, man. His instincts are spectacular. He takes on the double teams. He eats them up and spits them out, man. It's going to be another one of those where the con could be production numbers, but numbers don't tell the story every time. When you're on the D line, he opens it up for linebackers and such. My question to Parker is, when draft day comes, will Philly still be drafting at number 30?
I don't know.
I don't know yet what that means, but I'm just asking the question.
Yes,
they rumors circulating right now.
Yes, they will. But Brzee is, man, he's got all the tools to be elite, and the dude is massive. He's 6'5", but when you watch him, he somehow still wins low. I don't really understand the physics of it. I actually think this might be the best of the Clemson defenders.
Yeah. I mean, I view him as just a nasty, nasty guy. Like he's just out there to just whip somebody. That's just the bottom line. All right, I'm really interested to hear this next one.
The final pick of round 1.
Final pick of round 1 here. Kansas City Chiefs are going to be taking wide receiver out of Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt. If you paid attention to the short that we put out earlier this week,
we don't think he's the best.
No,
but this is what we're predicting.
Yeah, this is a prediction show, not what I would do show, because this would be completely different. Hyatt, guys, just to show I'm not a homer, I don't like this pick. I think Hyatt is a one-trick pony. I think he's fast. I think he was schemed open. Going into last year, he was the number 3 receiver on that team. I think Cedric Tillman is the guy to have. But Hyatt is fast. I will say, speed wins. Man, you're fast and you go up in the NFL draft. And I see a lot of people talking about Hyatt was the outside guy. Man, he played slot. He's got speed to go deep, but that doesn't mean you're the outside guy. He's, I don't know. He's very, very fast. His route tree is extremely limited. He was never jammed at Tennessee. So what happens when he gets one of those physical corners at the line in the NFL? But hey, it's the Chiefs, so I'm sure it'll work out just fine.
I'm concerned because I always thought that his hands were in question a lot at Tennessee. So we'll see how that works out for him. What do you think, Newman?
I mean, it's perfectly said. The speed and the college production is definitely there. I mean, we have this stigma that the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill, still trying to replace that guy. So just another toy for Patrick Mahomes. The cons, definitely, I wrote down the same thing as Parker: route running. Size will be exposed unless he's schemed open by the magician, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah.
So this has got to be the right spot. None of us really think it's the right pick, but we have a sneaky suspicion it could be the pick.
And Blake, you talked about his hands and not just dropping it, but going back and looking, I'm looking at his measurables, his hand size. He's in like the 12th percentile. His hands are basically a little bit bigger than Kenny Pickett's.
Gee whiz. Well, boys and girls, that was our first round mock of the 2023 NFL draft. Really appreciate you joining us for this. I do have one more question for our panel, our two guys here. If you had three other guys that you wouldn't be surprised would go in the first round, putting them on the spot here, tell me who you think they'd
I'm going to go running back Gibbs, wide receiver Cedric Tillman, and there's probably a defensive guy that I'm not thinking of. Who do you got, Parker?
Tillman could go over Hyatt. That's a real thing just because of his size. I've got edge rusher Will McDonald, who I think is probably a top 3 edge rusher in this group. Jack Campbell at linebacker, who's the only true Mike linebacker in this group. And then a sneaky one I mentioned to you guys earlier was Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver, just because of his size. Everybody in this draft is tiny, and he is a man amongst boys.
Fantastic. Guys, that was a mock draft right there. Again, really appreciate you joining us. For those of you who are new to us, we are the dudes discussing sports. Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and the man Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Check us out on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. And you can download all the audio versions of these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. Please like and share this video with all your friends. Really appreciate you guys joining us. Gentlemen, we're not going to do final thoughts today, but do you have any parting remarks regarding this draft?
I think it's going to be crazier than just 3 trades. We kind of limited ourselves to that.
Yeah.
Last year we did no trades at all, and just thought it'd make it more fun. But we'll be here. We're not even close to done with draft talk. We'll be back with a round 1 review. We'll even do a full NFL draft recap, and then we'll break down the AFC South.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Parker,
it's going to be nuts. That's really what I've got. It's going to be every year we talk about, this is the year how nuts this draft's going to be. No, this is the year how nuts this draft is going to be. We could take 50 guys and throw them into the first round, and any of them could go. It is incredibly difficult to project all these picks. And yeah, I just think that we have absolutely no idea. It could shake out any way possible.
Absolutely. Guys, be paying attention and stay tuned here to DDS Sports Talk. Parker has vowed to give instant reactions to each of the picks here, at least in the top 10, I'd say. I don't know if he's going to do all of them or not, but stay tuned for those. They will be out there in the form of shorts. But as always, guys, Newberry doesn't want to do his thing yet. He said he doesn't want to call it out yet, but he's going to save it. But as always, it is Two-Tone Blue all the way. You guys be well.